This is where I really know, because he's using theological language that I don't normally use. And he speaks to me in the middle of the night from 1 John 1. My dear children, I write this to you so that you will not sin. But if anybody does sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ, the righteous one. He is the atoning sacrifice for our sins, and not only for ours, but also for the sins of the world. We know that we have come to know him if we keep his commands. Whoever says, I know him, but does not do what he commands, he's a liar, and the truth is not in that person. But if anyone obeys his word, love for God is truly made complete in them. This is how we know we are in him. Whoever claims to live in him must live as Jesus did. I was like, all right, Lord, I'm in. Here's the thing, is that he gives us him. So when we do fall, there's grace and there's mercy. And that he can bring us into right relationship and alignment. And then we can fix our eyes and run for the rest of our life without ever looking back. I want us to be ready for the increase. We invite the worship team to come back. So this is the thing, is that I'm not here because I think we're doing something really wrong. I'm here because I think that there's more. And I think that God's inviting us into it. If I'm going to give my whole life to this, I want all that's possible. When I gave my life to Jesus to fully go into ministry, I knew I would never have a bored day for the rest of my life. Sometimes I kind of long for one, just a little bit, but not really. And it only seems to increase to where I'm even having to walk in a greater fear of the Lord to know what to say yes to and what to say no to, because it seems to matter more now than ever before. That I can't just do whatever I think is the right thing. I actually have to know what the right thing is too, because it really matters. And so I know that there's always in a room like this, there are people that are struggling with immorality, and I actually believe that God does want to align this place on our campus. What if the Holy Spirit was to begin to move in this campus and he couldn't find an addiction among us? For real, what if that was possible? I actually believe it is. I'm telling you, when he really comes, you won't be doing that anyway, but still, I feel like he wants to align us because you're called to carry the glory, and that immorality is directly holding you back from walking in the fullness of what God has called you to walk in. You'll never fully get there when you let this be your Lord. And I believe that he just says, receive my grace and mercy. It's what I came for. And come into right relationship with me, because there's an invitation. I came to this place. And I believe that Lauren and Darlene heard to build this base here. And as Aaron said, we are not better than any other base. But there's a word of the Lord of why we're on this island in the middle of the Pacific. And I truly believe that this is meant to host his presence. The nations will come and the nations will go. But Lord, I want the increase. I want people to come here and say the veil is so thin that it feels like I'm just hearing God's voice, and I'm writing books, and I'm creating medicine, and I'm hearing the solutions to ending human trafficking. It's like there's a thin place there, and suddenly I come into the mind of Christ and everything changes. It's like the spirit of the age isn't allowed or something. Come on. What if we give our lives to this fully, to say, he's worth it. He is worth it. He is worth it. I just don't believe that people that have given addiction that much power, I just don't believe it's as powerful as him. I don't. There's no way. Because I've seen it. I remember I was leading youth camps, and I had one of those outpourings of the Holy Spirit where it's like a night like this, but there's no sound at all. And suddenly in front of everybody, the heavens opened up and you could actually hear the angelic talking. The kids began to scream under the power of God. And one little boy that was one of the most crazy little kids in my whole youth group went out under the power for probably 45 minutes. And when he came to, he began to explain the Bible in ways that there's no way he would know. He started to talk about things. He goes, I've seen him. I'm like, yeah, really? And all of a sudden the kids all around the room, these are like 10, 12, 13-year-olds, began to scream under the power of God as they were so gripped. A lot of them are all married and have children and walking with their own families. The crazy thing is Philip was in the room, and that was 15 years ago, and we were just friends. Where literally He came in ways that were unexplainable. And I watched people come into the knowledge of Christ that didn't even really have the ability to know. Listen, when you begin to experience that, you do not want to touch anything that makes it go away. So I don't know what you've experienced before, but I'm telling you that there's more. There's more to know of Him, that when you begin to read your word, it becomes living and begins to become active in your own heart and your own spirit. And that sword goes and it cuts between soul and spirit, and it begins to be the discerner of the thoughts and intents of your heart, and you come into alignment because it's holy. Holy Spirit, I pray, not for emotion in this room right now, but I pray for actually your true Holy Spirit conviction, your loving kindness, the gift of forgiveness, your holiness, God, to come. Because, God, I truly do believe, even though we're in this room and it's a small moment in a small quarter, it only takes a few, God, but that we're not waiting for the fall quarter. We're in the summer quarter, where this is when things begin to shift and to move and to align, to prepare for the greatest increase that's ever come to this space will arrive once again in just a month. But God, that we have prepared a place for you, that we don't have to wait for alignment, that we've been given ourselves to pure and holy devotion, undefiled and hungrier for you than we've ever been before. Lord, I pray for those in the room that have been in this mission their entire life to feel and experience a fresh hunger in their own heart to say, Lord, give me the faith of my youth, that anything is possible with God. That I would run this race with endurance, believing for the miraculous, like the stories of old of the multiplication of food and angels driving vehicles and Bibles going into places and God hiding people from darkness. Lord, the stories of the walls shaking because your presence came and nations opening and your voice beginning to speak, God, and confirmations in every direction. Lord, these times are just as important, if not more. We don't graduate from the simplicity of who you are. Hear God and obey. To know God and to make Him known, it'll never change. We'll never graduate from bowing our heads and asking Him, God, what are you saying? Dependency on you and you alone. Thank you. If tonight, and I am not one to appeal to emotion, but I'm asking if tonight really you are experiencing just knowing I need this alignment in my life, either in the area of holiness and purity, where it's out of alignment, and you know you have to align this place and receive the forgiveness of Jesus and come into the sanctification and the holiness. And those in the room that have maybe been living on a little bit of presumption or assumption, and you haven't actually checked in with God, and you might be really successful at what you're doing, but you're not burning with that fire on the inside to say, I just have to hear His voice again today. I want to release that invitation to those two groups of people in the room to just come up front, just as a response, to say, I want to carry your glory, God, and I know there's something in the way. I just want to invite you right now. We're going to go back into worship for a moment.